Hello everyone, this is Dr. Afshan Hashmi live from a studio in Rockville, Maryland, USA. And today, friends, I have a very interesting book by one of the authors I love, and it is James Patterson by Patterson. I got this book and I will read little bit from this book. And I have been reading James Patterson's book for a very long time, and I love the way he writes, and James Patterson, if you are listening, I would love to invite you in this show to be in conversation with you. Also, I would love to be talking to you on my W4WN radio and Talk 4 TV, as well as K4HD radio and Talk 4 TV. And this book got my attention in Barnes and Noble, and I will be talking little bit about it. But before going into the detail, I would like to remind you that these are my two books. The first one, The Modern Novel Mythology, Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. And the second one is The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. When this book came in 2015, there was no trace of coronavirus. There was no trace of coronavirus, as well as there was a lot of research going on in Harvard and Stanford on Jugaad, thinking outside the box. And the second one, The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. This book, actually is about bioterrorism, and for this book I want a movie to be made. So all those Hollywood Bollywood producers, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. And for this book I want a documentary to be made, and there are many companies listed in this book. So please go and buy these two books and give me an honest review, and through the sale of these books I bring food to the table. And also I would like the sponsorship for this show as well as my two shows, and this show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. Having said that, friends, let's start the show. So the first book I read of James Patterson was this, and it was a very interesting book. And since then, I am hooked to the writing of James Patterson. And this is see the cover of the book. But this James Patterson, it looks like he is like young or anything, because I went to the website of James Patterson, and there he is. So it looks quite different. He looks quite different, and it says, let's start about James Brendan Patterson, born March 22, 1947, and it is from Wikipedia. And nobody is sponsoring this show. I love this author, and so I wanted to highlight him. I know he's a very accomplished author. I just wanted to highlight this one in my docu series. And this docu series, as I said, will be syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So it says, James Brendan Patterson, born March 22, 1947, is an American author. Among his works are the Alex Cross, Michael Bennett, Women's Murder Club, Maximum Ride, Daniel X, NYPD Red, Witch and Wizard, and Private series, as well as many standalone thrillers, non-fiction, and romance novels. His books have sold more than 400 million copies, and he was the first person to sell 1 million ebooks. In 2016, Patterson topped Forbes' list of highest paid authors for the third consecutive year with an income of $95 million. His total income over a decade is estimated to be $700 million. In November 2015, Patterson received the Literarian Award from the National Book Foundation, which cited him as a passionate campaigner to make books and reading a national priority. A supporter of universities, teachers, colleges, independent bookstores, school libraries and college students, Patterson has donated millions of dollars in grants and scholarships with the purpose of encouraging Americans of all ages to read books. Career: Patterson was a PhD candidate at Vanderbilt and acquired a job in advertising. He was an advertising executive at J. Walter Thompson. After he retired from advertising in 1996, he devoted his time to writing. His greatest influence, he said later, was probably Ivan S. Connell's 1959 debut novel, Mrs. Bridge. He published his first novel in 1976 called The Thomas Berryman Number. The novel featuring his character Alex Cross as a forensic psychologist formerly of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area and Federal Bureau of Investigation, who now works as a private psychologist and government consultant, are his most popular and the top-selling U.S. detective series in the past 10 years. Patterson has written more than 200 novels since 1976. He has had more than 114 New York Times best-selling novels and holds the New York Times record for most number one New York Times bestsellers by a single author, a total of 67, which is also a Guinness World Record. His novels account for 1 in 17, roughly 6% of all hardcover novels sold in the United States. In recent years, his novels have sold more copies than those of Stephen King, John Grisham, and Dan Brown combined. His books have sold approximately 305 million copies worldwide. In 2008, he replaced Jacqueline Wilson as the most borrowed author in Britain's libraries. He retained this position at least until 2013. In 2018, he worked with Stephen David Entertainment on the true crime television series James Patterson's Murder is Forever. Patterson's awards include the Edgar Award, the BCA Mystery Guild Thriller of the Year, the International Thriller of the Year Award, and the Children's Choice Book Award for Author of the Year. He is the first author to have number one new title simultaneously on the New York Times Adult and Children's Bestsellers list and to have two books on Novel Tracker's top 10 list at the same time. In 2019, Patterson was awarded a National Humanities Medal. He appeared on the Fox TV show The Simpsons in the episode Yokel Chords and in various episodes of Castle as himself. Patterson works with a variety of co-authors such as J.D. Barker, Candace Fox, Maxine Petro, Andrew Gross, Mark Sullivan, Ashwin Sanghai, Michael Ledwidge, and Peter T. Jong. In May 2017, it was announced that Patterson would also co-author a crime fiction book with former U.S. President Bill Clinton. Patterson said the novel The President is Missing would provide a level of detail that only a former US president can offer. Patterson has often said that collaborating with others brings new and interesting ideas to his stories. Of his process, he has started that he's simply more proficient at dreaming up plots than crafting sentence after sentence. In September 2009, Patterson signed a deal to write or co-write 11 books for adults and 6 for young adults by the end of 2012. Forbes reported the deal was worth at least $150 million, but according to Patterson, the estimate was inaccurate. Patterson founded the James Patterson Page Turner Award in 2005 to donate over $100,000 that year to people, companies, schools, and other institutions that find original and effective ways to express the excitement of books and reading. The Page Turner Awards were put on hold in 2018 to focus on Patterson's new initiative, KiddoRead.com, which helps parents, teachers, and librarians find the best books for their children. So now, friends, if you want to read a little bit about Patterson, it is in this Wikipedia. And now, friends, I will go on a break and will be back. I am back now, and let's read Damn Near Addictive Howard. And I brought this book today, so I haven't read it. I'll just read a little bit from the book. The Stories of My Life, James Patterson by James Patterson. James Patterson by James Patterson. I want to tell you some stories the way I remember them anyway. Hungry dogs run faster. This morning I got up at quarter to six, late for me. I made strong coffee and oatmeal with a sprinkle of brown sugar and a touch of cream. I read through the New York Times, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal. Then I took a deep breath and started this eco biography that you are reading. My grandmother once told me you are lucky if you find something in life you like to do. Then it's a miracle if somebody I'll pay you to do it. Well, I'm living a miracle. I spend my days and many nights writing stories about Alex Ross, the Women's Murder Club, Maximum Right, the Kennedys, John Lennon, young Muhammad Ali, and now this. My writing style is colloquial, which is the way we talk to one another, right? Some might disagree, some vehemently disagree, but I think colloquial storytelling is a valid form of expression. If you wrote down your favorite story to tell, there might not be any great sentences, but it still could be outstanding. Try it out. Write down a good story you tell friends, maybe starting with the line Stop me if I have told you this one before, and see how it looks on paper. A word about my office. Come in, look around. A well worn, hopelessly cluttered writing table sits at the center, surrounded by shelves filled to the brim with my favorite books, which I dip into all the time. At the base of the bookshelves are counters. Today there are 31 of my manuscripts on these surfaces. Every time journalists come to my office and see the 30 or so manuscripts in progress, they mutter something like, I had no idea, right? I had no idea how crazy you are, James. I got in famous writing mysteries. So here's the big mystery plot for this book. How did a shy, introspective kid from a struggling upstate New York river town who didn't have a lot of guidance or role models go on to become a 38 CEO of the advertising company J. Walter Thompson North America? How did this same person become the best-selling writer in the world? That's just not possible. But it happened in part because of something else. My grandmother preached early and often hungry dogs run faster. Was I hungry. One thing that I have learned and taken to heart about writing books or even delivering a good speech is to tell stories, story after story. That's what got me here, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's see where storytelling takes us. This is just a fleeting thought, but try not to skim too much. If you do it, it's the damn writer's fault, but I have a hunch there is something here that's worth a few hours. It has to do with the craft of storytelling. One other thing, when I write, I pretend there's someone sitting across from me, and I don't want that person to get up until I'm finished with the story. Right now, that person is you. So now I will go on a break and will be back soon. And this is the book. And this is another book of his which I love. Let's start with something crazy. 5 years at a cuckoo's nest. My writing career unofficially belonged at McLean Hospital, the psychiatric affiliate of Harvard Medical School in Belmont, Massachusetts. It was the summer of 1965, and I was 18, fresh out of high school. I needed a job, any job, and McLean was hiring. I spent a good part of the next 5 years at the mental hospital. That's where everything changed about how I saw the world and probably how I saw myself. I wasn't a patient, I swear, not that I have anything but the highest regard for medical patients. I just wasn't one of them. Besides, back then I couldn't have afforded a room at McLean, not even space in a double room. I was a psychic aide. I think I was hired because I have empathy for people. You will be the judge of that. The heart of the job was to talk to patients and, more important, to listen to them. Occasionally, patients tried to hurt themselves. My job was to try and stop that from happening. In addition to my usual daytime shift, I worked 2 or 3 overnight shifts a week from 11 p.m. until 7 in the morning. Most nights I just had to watch people sleep, which isn't that easy. I had never liked coffee, but I started drinking the awful stuff just to make sure I stayed awake, since there were usually patients on suicide watch at Bowditch or East House in the maximum security wards where I regularly worked. So this was from this chapter, and now let's read little bit from Play Hard or Go Home. Growing up, I had zero interest being a writer. Almost all the books I was forced to read in school completely turned me off. The only novelist I knew with a connection to my hometown was the crime writer Mickey Spillane. Spillane had a big house on nearby Orange Lake, and I had seen him a couple of times in Lentini's restaurant. My father was a fan and got Mickey Spillane's autograph at the bar there. Not me, I had no interest in mystery novels. My high school friends figured I had become a big deal doctor or lawyer, which was about as good as it got in Newburgh. Not so bad, really. None of them imagined I became a writer. Honestly, I thought I'd probably be a doctor or lawyer myself. Probably a lawyer, since I don't like the sight of blood, and yeah, I see the irony in that. This is very similar to my thing that I always wanted to become a lawyer, and I didn't like the sight of blood, although my PhD thesis was on human blood. And that's why, I didn't become a medical doctor. I didn't like seeing blood, or I cannot operate anybody. That's why I didn't become a doctor, and I'm surprised to see that how similar my thoughts and his thoughts are. And I just love James Patterson, and I love him as an author. I was in advertising, but I have been clean for over 30 years. Here is the very first thing that happened to me in advertising. On my first day, during the first hour, in the first minute, actually, I arrived at J. Walter Thompson's New York elevator bank and rushed to, and this is the chapter. I in New York's elevator bank and rushed to excuse inside a closing door. Suddenly, I found myself staring at Arnold Grisman, the creative director who had hired me as a junior copywriter. I stopped for an instant, just a beat, and the elevator door hit me in the head. Talk about starting with a bang. Let's move on. So I find myself in advertising hell. I should make it clear that I never chose a career in advertising. I didn't prepare for it, didn't take a single marketing or business course at Manhattan College or Vanderbilt University. I chose a career as a writer. But when I arrived back in New York City from Nashville, I had no money. For around $35 a week, I rented a room in Washington's Jefferson Hotel on West 51st Street. The wallpaper in the room had a design with thousands and thousands of tiny pentagons. Picture this: some past resident psychotic, or it is the very least disturbingly obsessive, and penciled an X to every single pentagon. So I guess I got into advertising because I needed enough money to get the hell out of that creepy room in that seedy hotel and pay for grocery, electricity, and rent in privacy. So this was the James Patterson by James Patterson's latest book, and I would recommend this book. And of course, he is like my I would like to become one day like James Patterson. So, I would like to emulate him. And James Patterson, if you are listening, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. And I would love you to sponsor some of my shows, and would love to talk to you and be in conversation with you. And having said that, this show is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. Having said that, friends, now let me talk about my two books. These are my two books, and for my first book, The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace, I want a documentary to be made. So, all those Hollywood, Bollywood producers listening, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. The other one is The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. And if you want, I want a movie to be made out of it. So all those Hollywood, Bollywood producers, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. Having said that, friends, let me read first from my first book, and then I will read it after the break. So now let me read a little bit from my book. And it is The Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace. And it says, Praise for the Modern Mughal Mentality. Brilliant and a must read for everyone. Dr. Vijay Govindarajan, Cox Distinguished Professor at Tufts School of Business at Dartmouth College and Martin Barber Fellow at Harvard Business School, the New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. And here it is. Introduction, and here it is. Let me read a little bit on the introduction. My story: How the Modern Mughal Mentality, New Strategies to Succeed in India and the Global Marketplace came to be, by Dr. Afshan Hashmi. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Mahatma Gandhi. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Martin Luther King Jr. Dear readers, being the granddaughter of the renowned freedom fighter and thinker of India, Professor Abdul Mahatma Gandhi has always inspired me. I have been raised by learning about Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Martin Luther King Jr., Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Azad, and other renowned personalities of the world. I met Mrs. Indira Gandhi many times while growing up in India and admired her a lot. My maternal grandfather, my mom, Mrs. Jamila Siddiqui, and my dad, Professor A. Majid Siddiqui, influenced me a lot and instilled in me the quality of communication through the medium of writing. My mom, who recently left for a heavenly abode, always encouraged me to bring this book to Pluton as soon as possible. Grandpa, mom, and dad were all an institution of themselves, renowned scholars, philanthropists, and great champions of the underprivileged as well as female empowerment. So, bringing this book out into the world will be a great tribute to my three first mentors and teachers in my life, my maternal grandpa and my parents. Also a great advocate of philanthropy, female empowerment, and the underprivileged. It is my dream to practice as much philanthropy as possible, as well as empower every underprivileged person in my reach to achieve great height. In keeping with these goals, a certain percentage of my book sales will go towards further growth of the underprivileged. Thanks a lot, readers, for buying this book and helping me in this mission. I pray that God Almighty will make this book so helpful and useful to lots of people. The main aim of writing this book is to put it in the hands of every person living on this earth. Amen. I love to write and have been a writer and a speaker all my life, also including motivational speeches. Not a single day has passed since I started writing in my childhood that I haven't written something. Writing is like a prayer and meditation for me. My first writing was published when I was 8 years old. My first speaking engagement was when I was 10 years old. When I left India, when I left India for the United States, my father told me that I was fulfilling my destiny and both of their dreams. He wanted his only daughter, Afshan, to write a book in America that would not only demonstrate her knowledge but change the world. With tall orders to follow, I immediately embraced his dream and imagined myself becoming the ultimate authority for American business travelers to India. For the past several years, I have been working on this dream. And now my friends and clients call me America's India expert, and I love them calling me by this name. I have an amazingly diverse career with extensive media experience and have reached more than 1 billion people via print, TV, and online. I'm an expert in innovative and value creation market entry strategies for corporations. I have discovered that India's economy flourishes because its businesses think big. They don't let obstacles overcome their visions. Get creative. Ingenuity is used to transform limitations, maximize resources in every way possible, know their customers, think favorably of change, provide high social value to their clients, are driven by dreams of grandeur. So this is little bit from the introduction, and now, friends, I will go on a break and will be back soon. So now for this book, for this book, I want the documentary to be made, and for this one, I want a movie to be made. And this book, I got it evaluated through Tailflix, and it came like this book is equivalent to Crazy Rich Asians and Contagion. So all those Hollywood, Bollywood producers and all, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. Having said that, friends, let me read little bit, from this book, The Outbreak of a Monstrous Infection. Chapter 1. In a sprawling bungalow in Potomac, Maryland, USA, lived Dr. Honey Singh, a board certified internal medicine and family practice physician, along with his beautiful wife, Baby Singh. Baby Singh was a fashionista and was funding women's causes through her Honey Babe Foundation. She had a ladies' club by the name of Baby's Glam and Glitzy Club, which had many glam and glitzy ladies who were professionals living in Washington, D.C., Potomac, Maryland, Virginia, and even Beverly Hills, California, as well as elites from all of America, meeting at her place on the last Wednesday of every month, discussing various aspects of charities they wanted her and Dr. Honey to fund. In this club, there was a wide spectrum of career women. There were doctors, lawyers, actresses, business owners, and models, to name a few. In these book club meetings, members would come prepared after reading a book of a famous woman author, and that author was even invited from any part of the world to give her presentation, followed by a Q&A in this prestigious and elite gathering. The book club was followed by a sumptuous meal which was specially prepared by a celebrity chef with his or her specialty cuisine. Each month, a different cuisine was tried by voting at the beginning of the year. This ladies' club operated from March till November every year, and authors around the world wanted to come and present their book in this club. So, these are my two books. Please go and buy these two books and give me an honest review. And also, by the sale of these books, I bring food to the table, and also friends, if you want to be in conversation with me, you can contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. And this show, as well as my show on W4WN Radio and Talk4 TV and K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV, is syndicated worldwide to 300 million listeners. So all those Hollywood, Bollywood, and documentary makers and all, please contact me at Afshan at drafshanhashmi.com. Having said that, friends, now I will end this broadcast, and also please go to my website www.afshanhashmi.com and see that what kind of services I provide. And this show was not sponsored, and even if it would have been sponsored, I would give you an honest review. I can review books, I can review your cosmetic products, and also cosmetics and makeup products, as well as movies, and also TV serials. And also I can be your publishing consultant, or I can be like your book development consultant, right from the inception of the idea to the very end of the book. And having said that, friends, now I will end this broadcast, and cheers and bye bye.